had a suggestion from a follower that I should have peeled the potatoes in my last fried fish and chips video. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm not going to record all of it, but at least a little bit of the peeling process. Fish is basically going to be the exact same, except I'm going to make the batter a little bit thinner, and I'm using flounder, which has defrosted and dried by now. Yeah, I'm just going to get on with it. Same density and thickness, but peeled. Alright, just going to let them sit in not warm but cold water. Actually, I should add a little bit more ice to that. The water came out a little bit warm. And work on some other stuff, then I'll come back, fry it up. Start with the chips this time at a lower temp, and then move on to the fish at a higher temp, so we don't mess it up this time. Wee gecko outside the window. So, another thing that's changed is I'm going to change the kind of beer that I put in this time. A lot less flour, because I made way too much batter last time. I'm going to make it a bit thinner. So let me grab that beer real quick. Going to be using Estrella. I saw it's never been for sale in the shop before, but I was there the other day. I saw this. It looks familiar from home. Different logo than I remember. But I remember Estrella being available at home. Tried some. Mexico import. Doubt that. But it was like, it's plain flavor. It's alright. It's not like a cerveza or anything, but it's pretty good. Bottle opener. This will work. So probably only going to need a wee splash in here. But again, we're using flour, salt, pepper, and onion salt. Put a little bit in at a time. Like I said, I'm trying to go thin this time. Very carbonated. It's the main thing. But that Kirin beer, you saw my face when I took a swig of it at the end. It was not my favorite. Not my favorite beer, period, but definitely not my favorite Japanese beer either. She's foaming up. Those chips are almost ready. It's kind of what I want to get on with this part. Not using the electric motor this time. I think that forces out a lot of the bubbles, because it's so aggressive, you know. Where you might as well just be adding water to this. So trying to do it a little bit slower this time with a fork. And hopefully I'll get the texture I want. You can see, that's what you want. That thin, with no clumps. With that said, I'm going to pull out the chips, let them rest while I cook these, throw them back in, because that came out pretty nice last time. Give them a little browning, because they're not browning too much after I peeled them. Different kind of potato as well, by the way. I got these ones from the commissary, not the local store. No idea what kind of grade of potato they are, if they're even meant for this. But the last ones were actually pretty good in terms of the density and everything. It was perfect, so I'm going to get on with that. Here we go. Deep. There we go. And then because I'm shallow frying it in a pan this time, I'll flip it over just because I can see some of it surfacing a little bit. Oh, by the way, I didn't do the taste test with Estrella, so what's left of it, you got to do Drabino's share of it. It's basically like a Corona without the lime. Don't do the lime. right, these look about done. A little bit flimsy, a little bit worried about that. Some of that oil drain off. Gonna throw the chips back in. Off the side, let them dry a little. I want to put these in carefully because the ones that were touching the surface of the bottom were, hold on. Yeah, the ones that were touching the bottom like browned a little bit, so I want that on the opposite side. So I'm going to be a little bit more gingerly putting them back in. Don't want to splash too much. These are looking spectacular. All right, time to pull them out. They're looking a little bit more golden, the sort of color that I want. I'm gonna throw them in here, toss a little bit of salt. Oh, they firmed up a little bit on the exterior, that's good. And yeah, just add a little bit of salt. Toss it around a little bit more. And there you have it, guys. That looks about right. That looks delicious. I'm gonna put this out on a tray. I rate 1 for 10. So here it is, fish and chips a la Gerbino. I know I make a lot of jokes about being a big back, but I mean, it's quite a lot of food, man. More chips than fish. I was a little bit concerned because when I purchased flounder before, especially when you're cooking it from frozen, I didn't do that today. However, if you cook cod from frozen, no problem. You cook flounder from frozen, the amount of water that leaks out of it is ridiculous, right? But there's a little bit of separation between the fish and the batter, but not too much, especially on that one. This one, a little bit different. It feels a little bit soggier, but most of the water did come out when it was defrosting, so happy about that. The main reason I'm doing this though is to retry the chips, so we're gonna try that first. Forgot about the vinegar for the fish, I'll get that after. Let's just try one of these chips on their own. Firm, yet soft. Looking pretty good, just a tiny bit of brown. Exactly how I like my fish and chip shop chips. One bite, nobody knows the rules. The unnamed subscriber that recommended I do this, you know who you are, was kind of right, but also kind of wrong. I don't think the skin would have really made a difference. The biggest difference here is because I used a lower temp to cook the chips, and also this is a completely different kind of potato. I'm not sure what it is. There ain't no Maris Pipers over here in Japan, but they have a different density entirely, whether they're raw, cooked, whatever. So these they turned out better in the fryer. Like if I got these from a fish and chip shop at home, even after me making them, not knowing the whole process, I wouldn't bat an eye. I'd be like, yeah, those are fish and chip shop chips. Maybe a little bit longer, because I know a lot of the ones in Britain are sometimes they're a bit stubbier. But the density is perfect. Try it with a bit of sauce. They're great. Now, I'm gonna try a bit of the fish before it gets any colder. First, without any vinegar. But hey, the fillet kept up, man. This looks a little bit better than the last one I made. I think because I did make the batter a little bit thinner, I kept it in there a little bit longer, so the batter is, I mean, I wouldn't say it's dark, but it is a little bit brown in the last one. But enough of me yapping. It's good. I wouldn't say it's any better than the last one. It's definitely more picturesque. But the main difference here is it's flounder, right? So flounder has despite being a whitefish, is a little bit, has a little bit more of a fishy taste. You wouldn't ever see flounder in the UK, especially at a fish and chip shop. I don't know if it's just because of that, because I know there's a bunch of grifters out there that'll put like catfish in their fish and chips, and no one will notice because it's not a very reputable fish shop. This works, but The cod was better just because it's a better fish. Frozen or not. But it's not bad. Like, you have to remember, flounder is half the price of cod. Is it half times worse? No, absolutely not. I'd say it's almost as good, honestly. It's just a couple decimal points below, because whether you like the taste of fish or not, when you're having fish and chips, you don't really want to taste a lot of fish, you know? Like, fried fish shouldn't really have a lot of flavor. You get all the flavor from the vinegar, the batter, and the salt. And then what's in between is just like, it's fluff. But that's the point of fish and chips, am I right? Either way, overall, including the chips, I don't even know what I gave myself in the last video, but I'd be giving this, like if I got this in the fish and chip shop at home, trying to be unbiased here, I'd be like, that's a 6.5, which I think is not bad. Might need to review my first score, because this overall is better just because of the chips alone. And when you think what it costs to cook all this, not a lot. You get a big bag of flounder for like $9. Potatoes cost like nothing. I think it was 93 cents, and I didn't even use one of them. I used 2 of the free potatoes I got. But they're the start of the show, guys. So take my advice, use cod, peel your potatoes, control your oil temp. That's a review.